So I'm already done finishing up with these gold parts. And yes, I'm referring to the gold parts. And some parts I began to put together because they don't need to be split and then put together during painting. One part, for example, is actually this part of the leg, where it connects the leg to the foot. And I'm covering this portion up only a tad because it's going to be grabbed on by the alligator clip, and then once I'm finished painting it, I will paint, you know, the sides here, the gray. So that's done. That's prepared for this. Following up on the other parts, but the one thing that really caught me by surprise, and I didn't realize this, is this part. Let me zoom in so you guys can see. This is that little notch part that's off to the side of the chest, where when it's transformed, when it's in destroy mode, it's already tucked in, but when it goes into destroy mode, this pops out and it's right above the shoulder. According to this, there's this decal here that you wrap around this. And to show you, it's right here, right there. Now, obviously, that is, of course, so it stays in true to the body. Like, okay, here's a good example of that part, like what I was mentioning before. So the top and the bottom part are going to be covered, while the middle part, I wonder if there's another picture here, but no, I don't see any, is lined up with gold. And that pretty much threw me off there, saying, wow, now I got to not only gold plate the whole thing, but I'm going to have to cover up certain areas and then paint the rest red, especially the top part here. Oh, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I'll see what I can do. So as I have all the parts now paired on its individual trees and toothpicks, this is what the parts look like before priming. Now here are all the parts primed with my Mr. Surfacer primer, and here it is, fully painted gold. And it came out really nice. How nice, you guys may ask? Well, let me position this camera so you guys can see some of the parts. See, that came out pretty good. These were the leg parts. Come on, show. Came out okay. It's part of the crown, I guess. Which I noticed that in the manual you have to put a decal on it. But screw it, I'm not going to put a decal on that. Of course, this one is the best part. That came out really nice. On both sides, of course. Now, since this is a spray paint, I had to be very careful that this thing wasn't oversaturated and paint pooled up in specific areas. So I gave it light sprays, and then I looked at other parts to make sure that everything was covered. Gold is kind of like a primer. It really brings out the shine, and it covers up a lot of parts in detail. Now, some parts I've realized that I will have to paint individually gold parts, and I can't spray paint it. And I'm going to show that to you guys later on when I get to that point. And since I got the marker gold, I should be fine since it's almost identical. But right now I'm going to remove all these parts from its alligator clips and put them to the side while I get the other parts ready for painting. But I'm very pleased with the Tamiya gold. if you guys get your hands on Tamiya Gold, I will have to give you one piece of warning. Shake it a lot, and if you don't have a spray booth, make sure you're wearing a respirator, because this thing, the fumes are very, very strong. Be very careful when inhaling. Make sure your kid's not nowhere near. And then short control bursts when applying to these parts. Okay, so right now I'm preparing the the charcoal parts and getting it ready so that way I can start painting it with dark gray. Again, I'm reviewing some parts that needs to be prepared before painting. Some of the parts has to be pre-assembled, as you can see there, and I gotta make sure that I get the parts that are more difficult to put on, you know, on regular clips. Sometimes I'll do this so I can paint the whole thing, especially around it. However, as I was reviewing some of the parts, I came across a few parts that struck me as odd, and it began when I started reviewing this. I know I did mention that this has to go over those other gold parts that I've already finished painting. That I understand. I'm going to have to recover that, paint these the color that I want. However, and I also noticed this, but I'll cover that in a moment. But I noticed these other yellow parts, and I said, where did these all come from? Where did they go? I began with these. The gold with the black part in the middle. And I came across this. This part has the section around here and here that's supposed to be exposed. Technically speaking, this should be part of the psychoframe. But it's not. So you understand what I'm talking about. Here it is, right there. This is actually a decal that has to go on this. So basically, I'm going to have to now paint this yellow. Gold, like I did with the others. When I first saw that, I said, holy shit, you're kidding me, I gotta do all this now? So all these parts is parts that I have to paint gold. Specifically these, right here. These goes in the upper thighs, upper part of the leg. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna have to pull this out. Here we go. Right there. That's a decal. Obviously this is a painted version of it, but that goes over here and here, which is actually this part. And hang on a second. Come on, focus. See? So I had to think of how I'm going to do this. Then I thought of this. I'm going to paint these two gold. It's easy. I got 1, 2, 3, 4 of this. Here we go. That only needs the front part gold, painted gold. These, on the other hand, I'm going to attempt to paint this upper part gold, but then I'm going to get tape, wrap it around, wrap it around there, so that way I paint the rest gray. And then once it dries out, I'll remove it, and then I'll use this one. I'm gonna have to use the panel line marker to paint the insides for this and for this, for the trim. Now let me begin painting these parts now. Alright, so I waited for these parts to dry up, the charcoal parts, to which I painted it gold again because it's supposed to show gold on the frame. And to better give you an example, where do I put it? Here's a good example right here. Here's the actual side frame from the skirt. If I take this off and put it in here, do it this way, and then I'll show it to you. There. Now it looks just like the kit, how it's supposed to be. Obviously this is going to be red, but the edges, you know, the trim is going to be gold. So I'm going to put these to the side. Actually, no, I'm not going to put them to the side because there's something else I should tell you. First of all, also these parts, these were the ones that goes in the side of the hip, or the leg, excuse me, over here. Now, technically speaking, here it is. There's a black line. There's a black line that goes right in the middle. I think this qualifies this as for me to use this now. So see how it works. Alright, that came out pretty good. All I need to do is do this on 4 more of the parts and I'll be done. Another thing I should be doing is this one, because this one's the same thing. This one's the same part where the top part of this is gold, and of course I'm going to do this. So it's trimmed up like that. But now I need to paint the rest of it gray. So a little preemptive preparing here is required. Take my masking tape and cover this around. Oh, good! It's the exact dimensions of this. Make sure I cover the top. Yeah, I think that's it. So now I remove this, flip it about, and now hold this. And now I just paint this the gray. And that's pretty much it. So I better also start covering these as well, and doing the rest and prepare them, because the next part of me is to paint the gray, excuse me, not the gray, the dark gray. Yeah, so far so good. I'm leaving, of course, the best for last, which is actually painting the red. But let's take care of this first.